The sun mercilessly punished the desert dunes when the luxurious pickup truck came to an abrupt stop. Jack Thompson, one of the wealthiest men in the country and a renowned breeder of racehorses, descended from the vehicle with his designer sunglasses and impeccable Italian suit. His gaze showed a calculated coldness as he observed the mare Moon, once his champion in various competitions, now considered a burden for being pregnant. "I can't keep an animal that won't yield any more competitions," he declared curtly to his foreman, Bill, who held the mare's reins with trembling hands. The simple man, who had been caring for horses for more than 2 decades, felt his heart tighten with that cruel decision. "Mr. Thompson, she can still—" Bill tried to argue, but was interrupted by a brusque gesture from his boss. "Don't argue with my orders. Leave her here and let's go," Jack cut him off, already heading back to the air-conditioned vehicle. Bill caressed Moon's silky neck one last time, whispering words of comfort to the animal. The mare, with her golden-brown coat and expressive eyes, seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. Her swollen belly betrayed an advanced pregnancy, and her legs, once so agile in competitions, now trembled with fatigue. A few miles away at the small Hope Ranch, Emily Parker, a 23-year-old woman, worked tirelessly to maintain the property she had inherited from her parents. With the help of her younger siblings, Mike and Sarah, she managed to make the modest goat and chicken farm prosper, albeit with difficulty. That afternoon, while collecting firewood near her property, Emily heard a sound that would change her life forever. A weak and distant neigh caught her attention. Dropping the twigs on the ground, she followed the sound, climbing a small hill that separated her farm from the desert. What she found broke her heart. A purebred mare, visibly pregnant, had collapsed on the sand, exhausted and dehydrated. Emily approached cautiously, speaking in a low and gentle voice so as not to frighten the animal. "Easy, girl. I'm here to help," she murmured, noticing the quality of the animal and wondering how it had gotten there. Carefully, Emily examined the mare. There were no visible identification marks, but the quality of her coat and her physical structure indicated that she was a high-value animal. Determined to save her, Emily ran back to the farm to fetch water and help. "Mike, Sarah, come quick," she called to her siblings as soon as she arrived home. In a few minutes, she explained the situation and organized an improvised rescue. With an old cart pulled by their work mule, the 3 siblings managed, after much effort and patience, to convince the mare to stand up and take her to the farm. The sun was already setting when they finally managed to accommodate her in the small stable. "She must belong to someone important," Mike commented, while helping his sister prepare fresh hay for the animal. "Important or not, whoever abandoned her doesn't deserve to have her back," Emily replied firmly, already feeling a special connection with the mare. Sarah, the youngest of the 3, brought fresh water and some apple pieces. "What are we going to call her?" she asked while watching the animal drink water eagerly. Emily observed the golden glow of the mare's coat under the last rays of sunlight entering through the cracks in the stable. "Moon," she answered softly. "Her coat shines like moonlight." That night, Emily stayed in the stable until late, caring for Moon and talking to her in a low voice. She promised that, as long as she lived, no animal under her care would be abandoned or mistreated. What she didn't know was that this promise would be just the beginning of an extraordinary story that would change not only her life, but that of many other people and animals. The following days were of intense care and dedication at Hope Ranch. Emily, Mike, and Sarah took turns caring for Moon, who gradually regained her strength. The mare showed surprising sweetness, especially with Emily, as if she understood that this young woman had saved not only her life, but also that of her future foal. "She must have been a champion," Mike commented one morning, observing the animal's elegant lines while helping his sister clean the stable. "Just look at how she moves, even while pregnant." Emily silently agreed. The more time she spent with Moon, the more certain she became that this was no ordinary animal. Her graceful movements and noble posture betrayed a glorious past that was now shrouded in mystery. News of the rescued mare soon spread through the small town of Green Valley. Neighbors began to appear at the farm, some out of curiosity, others offering help. Mrs. Johnson, an elderly lady who lived nearby and had a reputation for understanding horses, was one of the first to visit. "This mare," she said, examining Moon with experienced eyes, "has participated in major competitions. I can tell by the musculature and bearing. Someone invested a lot of money in her before abandoning her." The town veterinarian, Dr. Roberts, also offered to examine Moon for free. "It's the least I can do," he said, impressed with the animal's condition. "She's recovering well, but we need to stay alert. The pregnancy is in its final stage." Emily started sleeping in the small improvised room next to the stable. Her nights were filled with the soft sound of Moon's breathing and dreams about the foal to come. During the day, between her usual farm chores, she always found time to brush the mare's coat and talk to her. "You'll see, Moon," she whispered, while running the brush through the animal's shiny coat. "Your little one will be born strong and free. No one will abandon him like they did to you." On a particularly starry night, Emily was awakened by different sounds coming from the stable. Moon was restless, moving from side to side in her stall. The young woman immediately realized the moment had come. "Mike! Sarah!" she shouted, running to call her siblings. In minutes, the three were in the stable, prepared to help in any way necessary. Dr. Roberts had left detailed instructions on how to proceed, but Emily still trembled as she called him. The following hours were intense. The veterinarian arrived in time to assist with the birth, which went without complications. When the first rays of sunlight began to tint the sky pink, a beautiful golden-coated foal, even brighter than its mother's, was taking its first wobbly steps. "It's a male," Dr. Roberts announced, smiling as he observed the newborn. "And it's one of the most beautiful foals I've seen in my entire career." Emily, exhausted but happy, watched in wonder as the small animal approached Moon to nurse. There was something special about him, something that went beyond his physical beauty, a strength, a presence that seemed to illuminate the entire stable. "Sun," she said softly. "His name will be Sun, because he was born with the sunrise and because his arrival brought light to our lives." Sarah, who was hugging her brother, smiled through tears. "It's perfect, Em. Sun and Moon, together on our farm." At that moment, observing mother and son together, Emily felt that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. Little Sun, with his long legs and bright eyes, seemed destined for something extraordinary. What she didn't know was that, in a luxurious mansion miles away, Jack Thompson would soon begin to hear rumors about an exceptional foal born on a small farm in the countryside. Fate had carefully woven its threads, uniting seemingly distant lives in a plot that still held many surprises. Sun would grow up under the loving care of Emily and her family, developing not only his physical strength, but also a unique connection with the humans who had welcomed him from his first breath. 3 years passed since Sun's birth, and the colt grew into a spectacle in its own right at Hope Ranch. His golden coat gleamed under the sunlight, and his movements were of hypnotizing grace. Emily dedicated every free moment to training the animal, discovering in him an extraordinary intelligence and disposition. "He's not an ordinary horse," Mike commented one afternoon, while watching his sister work with Sun in the small arena they had built. "Just look at how he understands everything you ask, Em." Indeed, Sun demonstrated an almost supernatural understanding of commands. A subtle gesture from Emily was enough for him to change direction or alter his pace. The synchronicity between the two was something that attracted the attention of everyone who saw them together. Moon, now recovered and strong, watched her son with maternal pride from the nearby pasture. She had also become a beloved presence on the farm, even helping with lighter field work. Sun's fame began to spread throughout the region. People came from neighboring towns just to see the golden horse, as they began to call him. Among them was Tom Wilson, a retired former horse trainer who was amazed to see Sun in action. "Emily," he said after observing one of the training sessions, "this horse has the potential to compete professionally. I haven't seen anything like it in 40 years of work." Tom's suggestion planted a seed in Emily's mind. She had never considered entering the professional equestrian competition circuit. Her world was the small farm and daily work. But something inside her said that Son deserved more, that his gift needed to be shared with the world. "I could help you," Tom offered. "I still have some contacts in the field. I can guide the training, teach the correct techniques." Emily hesitated. The competitions would require resources she didn't have, and the farm demanded constant attention. But Mike and Sarah were the first to support the idea. "We'll take care of the farm," Sarah assured. "You need to give Son this chance, Q, and yourself." Thus began a new phase at Hope Ranch. Tom came 3 times a week for training, becoming more and more impressed with Son's abilities. The horse seemed to float over obstacles, executing the most complex maneuvers with disconcerting ease. "He has what we call hot blood," Tom explained during one of the training sessions. "It's the perfect combination of strength, agility, and intelligence. But the most impressive thing is the connection he has with you, Emily." News of an extraordinary horse training on a humble farm began to circulate in equestrian circles. Photographs and videos of the training sessions circulated on social media, catching the attention of breeders and competitors. It was on one of these training afternoons that a luxurious car stopped at the farm entrance. From the passenger seat, Jack Thompson observed from a distance, incredulous, immediately recognizing Moon's characteristics in the young golden horse. "So this is where she is," he muttered to himself, observing his former champion mare grazing peacefully. His eyes, however, couldn't look away from Son, who was executing a series of jumps with a perfection he had never seen before. Thompson ordered his driver to leave before anyone noticed him. In his mind, he was already formulating plans. That extraordinary horse, son of his abandoned mare, needed to be part of his stud farm, no matter the price. What he didn't count on was the strength of the bond between Emily and Son, a connection that went far beyond monetary value. The young woman who had saved Moon and raised Son since his first day of life had no idea of the storm that was approaching, but her protective instinct was already preparing her for the challenges to come. That night, after training, Emily stayed, longer than usual, with Son. While brushing his gleaming coat under the moonlight, she shared with him her dreams and fears. "We'll show the world what we're capable of, my friend," she whispered, receiving a soft neigh of approval in response. "Together, we'll prove that love and dedication are worth more than any fortune." The sun had barely risen when a convoy of 3 luxurious cars parked in front of Hope Ranch. Emily, who was in the stable brushing Son, felt her heart race as she saw Jack Thompson descending from the first vehicle, accompanied by his advisors. "Miss Emily Parker?" he asked, adjusting his Italian suit as he walked towards her. "I'm Jack Thompson. I believe we have an important matter to discuss." Emily felt Son restless beside her, as if the animal could sense the tension in the air. Mike and Sarah, who were working in the nearby field, discreetly approached to observe the scene. "I'll get straight to the point," Thompson continued, his eyes fixed on Son. "I've come to make an offer to purchase this magnificent animal. I'm willing to pay an amount that will change your family's life forever." With a gesture, he had one of his advisors present a check filled out with an amount that made Emily catch her breath. It was enough money to transform Hope Ranch into one of the largest properties in the region. "And that's not all," Thompson added. "I can guarantee that he will have the best handlers, the best veterinarians, a world-class structure." Emily looked at Son, who maintained his proud posture, but remained close to her, as if he understood every word of the conversation. Then, her eyes turned to Moon, who was watching everything from the nearby pasture. "Mr. Thompson," she began, her voice firm despite her nervousness, "I appreciate your offer, but Son is not for sale. No monetary value can buy the bond we have." The businessman laughed, a humorless sound. "Miss Emily, perhaps you don't know, but this horse has the blood of my champions. That mare over there," he pointed to Moon, "was my best brood mare." "The mare you abandoned in the desert?" Emily questioned, her voice now laden with indignation. "Left to die just because she was pregnant?" Thompson paled slightly, not expecting his past action to come up so directly. Quickly regaining his composure, he changed tactics. "I can double the offer," he declared, making a new gesture to his advisor. "And even offer a partnership. You could continue training him, be his official rider in competitions." Emily felt the temptation pass through her mind like a breeze. With that money, she could transform the farm, help her family, create a better structure for all the animals. But then she felt Son's muzzle gently touch her shoulder, as he always did when he sensed her unease. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson, but my answer is still no," she responded firmly. "Son is not just an investment or a competition-winning machine. He's family." The businessman clenched his fists, his frustration visible. "You're making a mistake, girl. This horse could be a world champion with the proper structure." "He already is a champion," Tom intervened, having arrived silently during the conversation. "And he'll prove it on the tracks, but with Emily." Thompson cast an icy look at the group before turning to leave. "You'll still regret this decision," he warned, getting into his car. When the convoy departed, leaving only a cloud of dust behind, Emily hugged Son's neck, feeling her heart still racing. "You made the right choice, sis," Mike said, approaching with Sarah. "Now more than ever," Tom spoke, "we need to show the world the true value of this horse, not for the money, but for the story of love and dedication you represent." Emily nodded, determined. Thompson's words, though threatening, had only strengthened her resolution. She and Son had a long road ahead, but they would face it together, as they always had since the first day. That night, as the stars began to dot the sky, Emily remained in the stable, sharing her thoughts with Sun and Moon. Fate had united there, lives in an extraordinary way, and no amount of money could break that special bond. In the weeks following Thompson's visit, the routine at Hope Ranch intensified. Tom, impressed by Emily's courage, decided to dedicate himself even more to training the pair. His connections in the equestrian world soon yielded an invitation that would change everything, a regional competition that would serve as a qualifier for the national circuit. "This is our chance to show what we're capable of," Emily said during one of the training sessions, while Son executed a complex sequence of movements with perfection. News of the Golden Horse's participation in the regional competition stirred the equestrian circuit. Videos of Emily and Son's training went viral on social networks, catching the attention of experts and admirers of the sport. However, the challenges were many. The registration fee was high, and the costs of transportation and equipment seemed impossible for the modest budget of the Parker family. That's when the Green Valley community surprised everyone. Mrs. Johnson organized a raffle. The baker offered part of his month's income. The grocery store owner donated supplies so the family could focus on preparations. Even the local school children organized a craft fair to help. "You are our pride," said the mayor during a small ceremony in the town square, handing Emily an envelope with the collected contributions. "Green Valley is with you." Preparation for the competition transformed Hope Ranch. Mike and Sarah took on practically all daily tasks, so their sister could dedicate herself to training. Tom started sleeping in the small guest room, supervising every detail of the pair's development. "I've never seen anything like it," the trainer commented one night, watching Emily and Son practicing under the improvised floodlights. "It's as if they danced together, as if they were one." A week before the competition, a mysterious package arrived at the farm. Inside was a complete set of high-quality equipment, saddle, harness, protections, all of the best material available. The card accompanying it said only, "For those who know the true value of a champion." "Could it be from Thompson?" Sarah asked, admiring the equipment. Emily shook her head, recognizing the handwriting of Bill, the former foreman who had abandoned Moon in the desert. In her heart, she knew he was trying somehow to redeem himself from that day. The eve of the competition arrived with a mixture of anxiety and expectation. The farm was bustling with last-minute preparations. The trailer borrowed from a neighboring farmer was already positioned, ready to transport Son the following morning. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Sitting on the fence of the training ring, she watched Son and Moon under the moonlight. The young horse approached, resting his head on the rider's shoulder, as he had done since he was a foal. "Tomorrow is our day, friend," she whispered, caressing his golden mane. No matter the result, we've already won just by being together. Moon, who was grazing nearby, raised her head as if understanding every word. Her serene gaze seemed to convey a silent certainty in her son's success. The dawn brought with it a gentle drizzle, which soon gave way to a spectacular sunrise. It was as if nature also wanted to participate in this special moment. "It's time," announced Charlie, while Peter finished loading the equipment. Emily led son to the trailer calmly, whispering words of encouragement. The horse entered without hesitation, completely trusting his companion. "Go ahead," said Anna, hugging her sister. "The entire town will be there to cheer for you." Indeed, when the small convoy from Hope Farm arrived at the event center where the competition would be held, they found a veritable caravan from Greenville. Banners, posters, and smiling faces welcomed the duo that represented not just a farm, but the dreams of an entire community. The equestrian center was buzzing with activity that morning. Competitors from all over the country paraded with their impeccably presented horses, many of them coming from the country's largest stud farms. Among the luxurious stalls and designer uniforms, Son stood out, not for ostentation, but for his natural magnetic presence. "Number 47, Emily Sanders with Rising Sun," announced the loudspeaker, calling for the veterinary inspection. Emily, wearing a simple but elegant outfit, a gift from the seamstresses of Greenville, led Son through the presentation circuit. The murmurs of admiration were audible as the golden horse moved with a natural grace that outshone even the most expensive competitors. "Approved," declared the chief veterinarian, clearly impressed. "Congratulations on the excellent conditioning of the animal." Backstage, Charlie was guiding Emily on the last technical details, while Peter and Anna took care of Son. The stands were already beginning to fill, and a huge Greenville banner stood out among the crowd. "He's here," whispered Anna, discreetly pointing to a VIP box, where Daniel Montgomery observed everything with his state-of-the-art binoculars. Emily took a deep breath, focusing only on Son and the course they had ahead. The test would be divided into 3 phases: dressage, cross-country, and jumping. Only the best would advance to the final. "Focus on what we practiced," Charlie advised. "You two are one. Trust in that." The first phase, dressage, surprised everyone. Son executed each movement with extraordinary precision, responding to Emily's almost imperceptible commands. The synergy between rider and horse was hypnotizing. "Exceptional. Score for newcomer Emily Sanders," announced the commentator, as the electronic scoreboard showed scores that placed the duo among the top contenders. The cross-country, held in the afternoon, was considered the most challenging test. The natural obstacle course required endurance, technique, and courage from both horse and rider. Son seemed to float over the obstacles, choosing the best lines as if he had been born for this. Emily, in perfect harmony with her companion, remained firm and focused. "Impressive time," the narrator exclaimed as they crossed the finish line. "The duo from Hope Farm continues to surprise." During the breaks between trials, competitors and trainers approached to meet Son. Many offered astronomical amounts to buy him, but Emily didn't even consider the proposals. "He's not for sale," she repeated with a serene smile. "There's no money that can pay for our partnership." The final jumping phase would take place the next day. That night, while most competitors stayed in luxurious hotels, Emily slept next to Son's stall, as she had done since he was a foal. "Tomorrow is just another day for us, friend," she whispered, watching the stars through an opening in the stable roof. "Like those mornings on the farm, remember?" Son responded with a soft neigh, resting his head on Emily's shoulder. At that moment, all the pressures and expectations seemed distant. It was just a girl and her horse, united by a bond stronger than any competition. On the other side of the equestrian center, in his presidential suite, Montgomery analyzed videos of the day's trials, his expression divided between admiration and frustration. The horse he had indirectly rejected, son of the Mare he had abandoned, was about to become the sensation of the national circuit. "Prepare the final offer," he ordered his advisors. "Tomorrow after the trial, we'll make them an offer they can't refuse." What he didn't understand was that some things simply have no price. The value of a story of love, trust, and overcoming cannot be measured in zeros on a check. The morning of the final trial dawned with an intensely blue sky. The equestrian centre was packed, with people even outside the stands. The story of the rider from the humble farm and her golden horse had captured the public's imagination. Emily woke up, before sunrise as usual. While brushing sun, she hummed softly the same song she used to sing to him when he was just a scared foal taking his first steps at Hope Farm. Number 47, Emily Sanders and Rising Sun, please report for the final inspection, announced the sound. System. The jumping course had been set up during the night. It was a technical and challenging sequence, with obstacles reaching up to 5.25 feet in height. Many experienced competitors had already given up just by seeing the route. Remember, Charlie said during the last equipment check, you're already winners just by being here. Stay calm and trust each other. In the stands, the entire town of Greenville held their breath. Peter and Anna were in the front row, along with Mrs. Thompson and dozens of other residents who had made the trip to support the duo. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Hope Farm, Emily Sanders riding Rising Sun, the announcer enthusiastically proclaimed. Silence fell over the venue as Emily and Son entered the arena. The morning sun made the horse's golden coat shine as if it were made of pure light. The young rider, in her elegant simplicity, emanated a serene confidence. The first obstacles were overcome with a grace that drew gasps from the audience. Sun seemed to dance between the jumps, responding to Emily's lightest touch. "Impressive synchronization from this duo," exclaimed the narrator. "It's as if they were one." Montgomery watched everything from his box, his fingers nervously drumming on the railing. Even his vast experience with competition horses couldn't deny the spectacle he was witnessing. The decisive moment came at the last obstacle, a triple combination that had knocked down even the favorites. Emily felt Sun gather his strength, as he always did in crucial moments. "I trust you, friend," she whispered, leaning slightly forward. Time seemed to slow down. Sun rose into the air with extraordinary power, his silhouette outlined against the blue sky like a painting in motion. 1, 2, 3 jumps in perfect harmony. When Sun's hooves touched the ground after the last obstacle, the explosion of applause was deafening. Tears streamed down Emily's face as she hugged her companion's neck. "Perfect time, no faults. A historic performance by Emily Sanders and Rising Sun," the announcer shouted, his voice almost disappearing amid the crowd's ovation. The final score confirmed what everyone already knew. Emily and Sun had not only won the competition, but had also set a new record in the category. The victory automatically qualified them for the national circuit. On the podium, Emily couldn't contain her emotion. Beside her, Sun maintained his proud posture, as if understanding the importance of the moment. The gold medal gleamed around her neck, but the real prize was the journey they had shared. "This is not just a sporting victory," declared the Federation president during the ceremony. "It's a story of love, dedication, and overcoming that will inspire generations." As the crowd celebrated, Montgomery approached Emily. His demeanor had changed, no longer carrying the usual arrogance. "Miss Sanders," he began, his voice softer than normal, "I must admit that I was wrong. What you have is something that no money can buy." 6 months after the historic victory, Hope Farm had transformed, not through ostentation or luxury, but through the vibrant energy that emanated from every corner. The small training ring where Sun had taken his first steps now served as a school for young riders from the region. Emily, still the same simple young woman, dedicated her mornings to training Sun for national competitions and her afternoons to teaching children who, like her, dreamed of building a special connection with horses. "Remember," she would tell her students, "it's not about dominating the horse, but about building a partnership based on trust and mutual respect." Not far away, in what they affectionately called the Elders' Pasture, Moon, the legendary northern star, rested under the shade of a large oak tree. At 25 years old, She still maintained the elegant posture that had made her a champion, now blended with the serenity of age. Sun, at 8 years old, was in his prime. He was not only the main stallion of the center, but also an ambassador for the new philosophy they advocated. Together, he and Emily had won national and international titles, always demonstrating a synergy that went beyond traditional understanding. Montgomery, fulfilling his promise, had become a dedicated partner in the project. His experience in Taoxing, the business world, combined with Emily's vision, allowed the center to flourish beyond initial expectations. That afternoon, as the sun began to set, Emily took Sun for a quiet ride. It was a ritual they maintained, a moment of connection and reflection. "Look at all this, friend," she said, stopping at the top of a hill that offered a panoramic view of the property. "It all started with you and Moon. You've taught us so much." Sun neighed softly, as if agreeing. In the distance they could see a group of foals playing, direct descendants of Sun, each carrying the potential to continue the extraordinary legacy of their lineage. Emily dismounted, hugging Sun's neck. Tears of gratitude shone in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." As they walked back to the stable, Emily reflected on the incredible journey they had taken, from an abandoned mare in the desert to a movement that was transforming the equestrian world. It was a story of hope, perseverance, and the incredible power of the bond between humans and animals. On this tiny horizon, the sky was painted with shades of orange and pink, announcing the end of another day. But for Emily, Sun, and everyone at Hope Farm, it was the harbinger of an even brighter future. A future where respect, understanding, and love between species were not just ideals, but a reality lived every day. End of story.